Over the next few days, markets will be in chaos as we reach the end of the US presidential election. And right now, that's the only thing that matters, this election. We can expect an outcome that will royally piss off half of the nation, and we can expect volatility. Now, what does this mean for your crypto bags, and what's likely going to happen over the next week to markets through the end of the year so you can make good decisions about what to do with your portfolio? Well, in this video, I'll not only cover the election and prior election years and how that's affected crypto, but if you're currently invested or plan to invest this week, what to watch out for and how to protect yourself. I'll be diving into some key charts and metrics that will let us know when markets will likely rally and when altcoin season will truly begin. And by the end of this video, I'll even give you 3 altcoins that are not only low risk, but will likely outperform the rest of the market from a risk-adjusted returns perspective. So stick around until the end, and let's get into the video. Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Paul if you're new here, and really quickly, I want to cover how the crypto total market cap excluding the top 10, in other words, this others chart, is telling us that over the last 6 straight days, and this is a daily time frame, the altcoin market has sold off. What this means is if it's not in the top 10 cryptos by market cap, then it's likely in this others pile. And all of these cryptos have sold off in anticipation of the election. In other words, people don't like uncertainty. And a lot of people believe that if Kamala Harris wins, markets are going to sell off, whereas if Donald Trump wins, markets are going to rally, considering he's a bit more strong-handed on the economy and so on and so forth. And as Miles Dutcher put it, it's crazy how correlated Bitcoin price action is to Trump's election odds. Maybe it really is as simple as Trump wins equals BTC pump, Kamala win equal BTC dump. And then he posts the polymarket charts right here versus the Bitcoin dollar chart. And so you can see in this same time frame, as Bitcoin was rallying, so were Donald Trump's election odds increasing. As soon as they started decreasing because he wasn't as far ahead in some of these swing states as people would have liked to believe, all of a sudden Bitcoin started dumping. But it could also just be the fact that people are selling into the election anyways because they don't want to carry any of that risk. And it's not just crypto markets. Right here I have the volatility index, and so whenever this thing really starts to climb, and as you can see here again over the last week, it's really climbed, arguably the last couple weeks because I am on a daily time frame. And as you can see here, back in September we were at lows, and we've continued to rally and put in some new highs here. The volatility is an indicator that markets are starting to sell off. So it's not just crypto markets, it's virtually any market that is in TradFi and carries more risk like stocks or crypto. And so it's no wonder that markets are selling off, considering even cities across the US are boarding up in preparation for potential unrest. I currently live in Portland, Oregon, and I have seen with my own eyes how a lot of businesses downtown are now boarding up in the case of a potential Donald Trump win. The last time he won an election back in 2016, there were riots and there were a lot of broken windows. Now, my goal is not to be partisan. My goal is simply to share the facts, and that's exactly what happened. And it seems to happen in a lot of these left-leaning states and cities. For example, New York back in 2020 was doing the exact same thing. You have Portland, Oregon doing it right now. You have LA doing it. You have DC doing it. A lot of businesses are boarding up just to protect themselves because they are worried about the outcome. And when you see businesses doing this, I think it tends to spook people in the markets, and people are likely not to want to carry that risk as well. Now, that said, when you hop on over to Polymarket, you can see that at one point the lows were 56% for Trump and 44% for Harris, and already they've risen to 59% odds for Donald Trump winning the election against Harris's 41%. He's currently leading in 4 of the major swing states: Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, and Pennsylvania. Now, with that said, even JP Morgan estimates that a 60 to 70% chance of a Donald Trump victory is likely to occur, forecasting a 5% USD rise on a red sweep and a 1.5 to 2% with a split in Congress. There's a guy by the name of Marty, I believe it's Marty Schwartz, one of the better traders I've ever studied, and even he says you never want to short a Republican. typically when Republicans enter office, markets like to rally. Again, because these guys are rhinos when it comes to business. And although maybe people don't like that because they care more about social issues, that's just how markets tend to respond. Now, that said, I am not going to give you financial advice. Go talk to a financial advisor if you want it. But at the end of the day, my personal opinion is we are going to have a very volatile next day or two as we near the election. In other words, if you are taking on any leverage whatsoever, as Dan Crypto Trades said, be careful with leverage, and he recommends not to touch it at all this week because you're likely going to get chopped up. Markets might dump really hard into a Kamala Harris victory only to pump really hard thereafter, whereas they might pump really hard if you're planning on shorting the market. Again, just leverage is probably not that wise. From the perspective of if you are holding on to cryptos right now, I would recommend maybe just hold on to them through the election. But if you really don't want to take any of that risk, I've already sold portions of my portfolio, but not my entire portfolio, just because I don't want to carry all of the risk. And whatever happens, I'll buy back into the market because I do believe we're on the cusp of a major breakout in markets. And I'm going to prove that to you here very shortly. However, many people believe that Donald Trump is in the lead because he's a more pro-crypto president. And apparently, 73% of crypto owners consider the presidential candidate's stance on crypto when they vote. And many people are on the side of Donald Trump in the crypto ecosystem or sphere. Not everyone, but because they believe he's going to be a far better president for crypto, for legislation, and the promotion of innovation inside of the United States. But don't take my word for it. Here is what they shared on CBS Morning Plus.
So is there a presidential candidate who is considered to be better for the crypto world?
And there is a new group of voters this election cycle that could make a big difference. Can you guess who it is? Especially in battleground states, we are talking about crypto investors. 1 in 5 Americans owns cryptocurrency. And for the first time, those people could sway who becomes president. How and why? Well, Money Watch correspondent Kelly O'Grady is here to tell us. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning to you both. You know, I find this fascinating because for the first time ever, these crypto investors, they could really move the needle in a presidential election. And a key reason is that crypto has become increasingly more mainstream. How a candidate plans to approach the space could really impact their vote. So I want to put some numbers behind it because I'm always a business nerd, right? So on the anywhere between 7 and 21% of Americans have invested in crypto. So on the low end, that's 18 million people. On the high end, that's 50 million people, right? So any way you slice it, that's a lot. Of those, close to 75% said they're going to consider a presidential candidate's stance when voting. So look, this could really play a big role in battleground states. For example, the Stand with Crypto PAC is sending up what they're calling crypto advocates. In Arizona and Georgia, they already have more than 30,000 advocates. That's way more than the number of votes that Biden won in those states by. And because of those potential voters, right, the crypto money is flooding in like we have never seen before. The pro-crypto PAC Fairshake, it's raised over $200 million this cycle. That's one of the top PACs in terms of funds raised. So look, the takeaway here is if crypto owners are single issue voters, they could actually play a role in picking the next president.
And maybe that's exactly why we've been seeing what we've been seeing in the polls with Donald Trump in the lead, as even the Wall Street Journal said in the Journal's October poll, they found that 64% of Americans said the nation was headed in the wrong direction. Maybe these are some of those single issue crypto voters that consider Gary Gensler literally the worst person to ever be head of the SEC. So we don't really know, right? It is conjecture, but at the end of the day, this means a lot of people aren't too happy with the last 4 years, and it makes sense. It's not just crypto and it's not just the SEC, but it does play a role, especially in major swing states, compared with the 26% who said it was moving in the right direction. Then, as incumbent vice president, given the negative sentiment about the Biden administration, and with 64% of voters believing the country is off on the wrong track, it is going to be hard for Harris to get much traction as the candidate of change. In other words, we're likely going to see some volatility over the next couple of days, but if we do see a Donald Trump win, I think markets are going to rally really hard. If we see a Kamala Harris win, we might see markets dump. However, I do believe even by the end of the year, they're still going to rally, because at the end of the day, we're going to practice a lot of QE in any situation, or quantitative easing in any situation, which is just dollar printing really, where the markets start to tank or dump. On the flip side, we'll also lower interest rates, right? So there's no situation where we're not going to continually print our way out of problems and markets don't rally. I just think we're going to see some serious volatility, either to the upside or downside. Now, that said, when you look at the last 3 presidential elections since 2012, you can see this red line on each situation is Bitcoin price. And every single time after the election, markets have rallied no matter what for new all-time highs. And in this first election cycle, we had Obama, then here we had Trump, and here we had Biden. So it doesn't even matter if it's Republicans or Democrats, Bitcoin likes to rally after elections. Now, what's really exciting about that news is the fact that Bitcoin is less than 7% away from an all-time high. However, retail participation is extremely low. So you can see that Bitcoin here near all-time highs. This green line is indicative of the Google Bitcoin search trend. And as you can see here, it's closer to the lows than it is the highs. Whenever we start to peak on these highs for Bitcoin, like here or even here, okay, you can see that Bitcoin was near a local top or a new all-time high. And in this situation, it means we have a lot of room to grow and that retail is not currently in the market. So yes, Bitcoin is extremely likely to rally, which is going to provide a good market environment for virtually all other cryptos to rally. Now, really quickly, before we finish this video and actually share those 3 altcoins and another really interesting chart, if you haven't already, go ahead and smash the subscribe button if you've been enjoying the video, and also head to bullrunners.com. You can find the link in the description below. You have about 6 days left to join that early bird list, which will close when we hit 1,000 people. And also, if you don't sign up within this time frame, then you're not likely to get any of those bonuses. But this is a great way for you to not only get access to exclusive altcoin picks, market analysis, and even access our crypto education platform and inner circle, where we're only accepting a certain amount of students. So really important that you do it sooner rather than later, because it is not only time sensitive, but if you do, you're more likely to secure your spot if that's something that interests you and you're ready to become a crypto millionaire. Let's get back into the video. Now, as you can see on this chart, I have the Bitcoin market dominance. And over the last month, Bitcoin has really been rallying and dominating the entire crypto market, accounting for 60% of all of the money in crypto right now. Now, that's probably because people feel more confident or comfortable buying and holding Bitcoin, especially through spot ETFs now, than just about every other major cryptocurrency, because they believe that Bitcoin has a far better chance of surviving any type of an environment and situation than most altcoins do. So that totally makes sense. However, when you look at the long-term perspective, in situations where Bitcoin is really rallying like it did right here from 2018 all the way through 2019, again, people are deloading or offloading, I should say, altcoins. On the flip side, whenever you see Bitcoin dominance dumping like this is a good indicator that altcoins are starting to rally and more money is flowing or rotating into altcoins. Now, without getting too technical, what I have here is a chart of all of the others or altcoins that are not in the top 10 versus Bitcoin. And as you can see here, altcoins that are not in the top 10 have really been dumping pretty hard since September 29th of 2024 till present day. And again, that's just because they're offloading, they don't want to carry the risk. But what I found is really interesting is when you look back here from November 2020 all the way through January of 2021, altcoins were also dumping in this time frame relative to Bitcoin. But then what happened is they started to rally really hard versus Bitcoin and then put in some new all-time highs shortly thereafter through the next year. In similar fashion, back in 2016, really interesting, election time. Look at this circled area right here. Election time from November of 2016 into December and just the start of January before altcoins really started to rally through the next year. So what does this mean for this time around, again, where we might get a situation through December where Bitcoin continues to do well, maybe a few of the top 10 cryptos by market cap like XRP do well, and then what happens through here into January, where then the altcoin market really starts to rally. And this is where you're going to want to be positioned in some key leaders in the altcoin space. And for altcoin pick number 1, we are running with Solana. Now, I understand you're probably an XRP investor and holder, which is why I'm not actually mentioning XRP, considering we're already a high conviction channel with it. So I'm mentioning altcoins that you probably have heard of, but I believe are far lower risk plays with still really good earning potential in the case of a major altcoin bull market. Now, the reason I like Solana is because it has consistently performed very well from these lows over here at 22 to 28 bucks, and it's pumped really hard all the way up to $210. Our previous all-time high was 260. However, it seems to have held a range that is stronger relative to most cryptos, which is a good indicator that there's a boatload of demand. In other words, right down here where we had this wick and what I would consider a bear trap, people might have been bearish here only to have the market rally against them, and we've seen a lot of support right here down at the $120 level. On the flip side, we have not seen a breakout from this high. I'll go ahead and take a line right here and draw it through, and as you can see here, we do have a descending wedge. But the last time we had a situation like this, well, we've never had a situation like this where we've had a period of almost 8 months where the market really hasn't done anything. We're talking 230 days. That is a very long, strong range, which tells me that 120 is a good support, and any breakout above here is going to be really strong. But the last time we had a situation like this was right back here in May of 2021, where we rallied again in this descending wedge, only to see the market break out for some crazy new all-time highs. And this was a rally for a long, strong, about 600 to 700%. So yes, Solana is a name you've probably heard of, and that's why I would argue it's very low risk, especially in a range where we're really developing a strong support. Now for the next altcoin pick, I am running with the best layer 1 blockchain currently available, and something that has a lot of strong price action, solid sentiment, and is primed to do some amazing things in this upcoming year. Considering already, right, this is putting in a new higher high. It now has some higher lows. So I'll go ahead and circle them right here. You can see our major low happened at about 37 cents back in 2023. Our next low happened about 46 cents here in August of 2024. Then we put in a new high at $2.36. And since that point in time, we have failed to really rally above this point. However, relative to the rest of the market, it's holding a very strong range right here at about a support of $1.63. So anything in this range I think is a really good buy. And if we see a breakout, things are going to get really exciting, considering it's going to be completely new price action and territory for something like SUI. And when I've seen these things do this, right, the sky is the limit. I mean, it could easily go to $8, $14, $20 to $25 this bull run, bare bones minimum. We've seen it happen with Solana, and with something that looks this strong, I would argue it's going to outperform even my expectations. Now, for those of you guys who don't know what SUI is, we have quite a few videos on the channel. Go ahead and just hop on over to our videos tab, look up some SUI, and we have plenty of videos that explain why SUI is such a good investment. However, we're going to move on to altcoin pick number 3. And that altcoin is none other than FLOKI. Now, what I love about FLOKI is that it's not just any traditional meme coin. It is one of the largest meme coins by market cap, and it does have a lot of history with a very strong team, a lot of initiatives, a lot of products, a lot of incentives to use the FLOKI token throughout their entire ecosystem. Unlike a lot of other cryptos like Doge or even Sheba, which Sheba has some great utility relative to most of the meme coin market, FLOKI truly outperforms the rest of the meme coin market when it comes to utility. And so from the perspective of risk-adjusted returns in the meme coin market, considering meme coin markets are typically more risky, I would argue this is by far the safest. But what's so lovely about meme coin markets as well is that they tend to pump way harder than virtually everything else. Now, what's also really unique about this token is the fact that we have since 2021. So yes, we have some history right here. As you can see, this thing was listed in September of 2021. This thing has painted arguably one of the biggest cups I've ever seen for anything in the crypto market, much less the meme coin market. And now we seem to be putting in our handle. As you can see right here, if we come and touch this range at the 3-2 range right down here, things are going to get really exciting because typically you have a 100% move from the lows to the top of the cup. And so a breakout above this cup would easily take us to at least of 1,000% return. And we saw a 700% return on something like Solana. Now, I'm not saying that is guaranteed to happen. There are no guarantees in markets. I've just seen these types of things play out. And again, they typically exceed my expectations, but this would be my general target, about a 1,000% return on a breakout. Now, since the market is lower and since you have an opportunity to buy lower, realistically, there is an opportunity to make at least a 3,000% gain from the current price if you were accumulating. And I'll go ahead and remove those drawings. I'll toss a line right back up here. And what's super fun and unique about this chart is it's looking eerily similar to the chart patterns that we've seen on Solana. As you can see here, we have this descending wedge. As you can see here, we have quite a bit of support right here at the 0.001 range. And so if we touch this range one more time, perfect, because if we break out above here, yes, we're likely going back up to the local highs, and arguably a breakout or a touch for a fourth time, considering this is 1, 2, 3, and 4 in a bullish crypto altcoin market environment, is going to take us to new all-time highs. And again, it's thin air up here. Sky is the limit when things really start to trend into a range where the price action has never been before. So for risk-adjusted returns in the meme coin market, I would argue FLOKI is by far one of the best altcoins to check out and invest into if you're comfortable with it. And if you get the chance, head on over to FLOKI.com to find out everything that they're doing, from their ecosystem to their updates to their community. How to buy FLOKI. I mean, they have Valhalla here. They have TokenFi, staking, FLOKIFi, NFTs, prepaid Visa and MasterCards with the FLOKI logos on them. And even a FLOKI trading bot that you can use directly through Telegram, and you can get a link for that down in the description below. But as of just 2 hours ago, on November 4th, they did post their monthly Ask Me Anything with one of their core advisors. And so if you want to check that out, you can find it on their website through their Medium and that link. But ultimately, someone asked, what's one thing about the FLOKI/TokenFi roadmap that you're most excited about? And they mentioned Valhalla. Valhalla is going to go live on the mainnet in less than a month from now and will be a full play to earn economy. So yes, this is really exciting. Think about it. You don't see any other meme coin companies doing things like this. Valhalla is going to be their flagship utility product, and one that they've worked hard on and extensively on for about 3 years. And so yes, it's highly likely that you're going to need to have the FLOKI token to play around in this environment. So if you want to do that in the easiest way possible is by doing it through the FLOKI trading bot on Telegram. Again, link is going to be in the description below. So that's it for this video, folks. Again, expect a whole load of volatility between today, tomorrow, and even through the rest of the week as we are entering the end of this election cycle. I'm personally going to be holding on to the majority of my bags, but I did sell some just to feel a little bit more safe, considering we could have any type of an outcome. Things can get kind of crazy, and I just don't want to sit through all of that volatility. But I do believe over the next month or two, as we buy these lows or dips on many of these altcoins that are on sale, things are going to look really up into the future. So thanks so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, again, smash the subscribe button, like the video, it helps the channel out, and then head to bullrunners.com. You can find the link in the description below to join our early bird list and learn how to be a crypto millionaire. Now, that's not a guarantee, but at the end of the day, we want to help you to get as close to your goals as possible. And we're going to do this through giving you exclusive altcoin picks, market analysis, and access to our crypto education platform and inner circle. Things are really exciting. They're heating up. We only have 6 days left for you to join this inner circle, or at least the list, and potentially join the inner circle, I should say. So thanks so much for watching the video. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Goodbye.